You're at M6, Cheshire East, England.
Cheshire East, England. Saan yan? Look at the weather. Look at the snow. Look at the snow, guys. Busy pa sa lugar na to. Nakita ko may accident daw eh. May accident daw.
Nung na-stuck tayo ng maano din yan, matagal din yan.
Parang solo ako dito sa truck. Thank you.
Continue on M6 for 37 miles.
M6 37 miles.
You finish? You're still not done, ah.
May ano dito kasi may accident daw eh.
They told you to be kind. They told you to be polite, to turn the other cheek, to never hurt anyone. But they never told you the price of being too nice. Niceness in the real world is not a virtue. It is a vulnerability. It is a soft target painted across your back, a signal to every manipulator, every opportunist, every silent predator. Here is someone who will not fight back. And Machiavelli, cold, cunning, and brutally honest, would spit on such advice. He didn't believe in the fairy tale of goodness. He believed in power. He believed in survival. And he believed that nice guys don't just finish last. They get eaten alive. In The Prince, Machiavelli makes it clear. A ruler must learn how not to be good. Why? Because the world itself is not good. The world is brutal. People are selfish, deceptive, driven by their own interests. If you assume the best in others, you will be deceived. If you always yield, you will be dominated. If you are always nice, you will be used. Machiavelli's core advice to the nice guy is simple. Wake up. See the world not as it should be, but as it is. Stop thinking that kindness will earn you respect. It will earn you pity, or worse, contempt. Look around you. The ruthless rise to power. The assertive command attention. The cold-hearted dominate. The ones who say no are valued. The ones who bend to every request are forgotten. This is the brutal symmetry of life. Niceness has its place, but only when it is controlled, weaponized, used strategically. To be nice all the time is not virtue, it's weakness. And Machiavelli would say, if you want to win, you must learn when to put away your smile and unsheath your blade. The nice guy lives by an illusion that if he gives enough, is generous enough, agreeable enough, he will eventually be appreciated, loved, rewarded. But the world is not a place of moral accounting. It doesn't remember your kindness. It forgets your sacrifices. It respects only strength. And Machiavelli's doctrine was never about fairness. It was about advantage. He would tell the nice guy, stop being the prey, start becoming the predator, stop pleasing everyone, start controlling the game, stop avoiding confrontation, start setting traps. Machiavelli saw human nature for what it is, unstable, self-serving, and often cruel. And that clarity is the antidote to the poison of niceness. Because the truth is, nice guys are exploited not because they are bad people, but because they refuse to see the truth. They want to believe in harmony. Machiavelli believed in conflict. They want to build bridges. Machiavelli built fortresses. They want to be accepted. Machiavelli wanted control. So here's the brutal truth. If you're a nice guy and you're suffering overlooked, used good, that pain is a warning, a signal, a chance to transform, to evolve, to stop being a servant in a world that rewards kings. You don't need to abandon your soul, but you need to guard it. You don't need to hurt others, but you must stop allowing others to hurt you. Kindness without limits becomes self-sabotage. Mercy without strength becomes irrelevance. Machiavelli didn't write for saints. He wrote for survivors. And if you want to survive and not just survive, but win, then you need to stop being the harmless one in the room. You need to become dangerous, not reckless, calculated, controlled. Someone who can smile, but also strike. Someone who can forgive, but only if it serves a purpose. Someone who is capable of peace, but never afraid of war. Because in the end, the world won't reward your goodness. It will reward your strength. And to be strong in a world that feeds on weakness, that is no sin, that is power. Nice guys make one fatal mistake. They need to be liked. They crave approval like an addict needs a fix. Every action, every word, every choice is filtered through the question, will they still like me after this? But in the cold eyes of the world, this desperation is disgusting. Machiavelli would scoff at it. He'd tell you, stop begging for love. Start commanding respect. Respect is not given to those who please. It is given to those who assert. The moment you shape yourself to fit others, you lose your form. You become a mirror, reflecting their desires instead of your own will. And once you become predictable, accommodating, agreeable, you become irrelevant. You're no longer seen as a man with purpose. You're seen as a tool, a convenience, something to be used and discarded when it no longer serves a function. Machiavelli warned against trying to win affection. It weakens a leader. People respect fear more than love, not because fear is cruelty, but because fear represents control, boundaries, power. Nice guys rarely draw lines. They accommodate, they compromise, they sacrifice even when no one asks them to. Why? Because they've been trained to believe that love is earned through obedience. But in reality, obedience earns only one thing: domination. If people learn they can push you, they will. If they learn you never say no, they'll take more until there's nothing left. You won't even be thanked for your sacrifices. You'll be resented for being so easy to take from. Machiavelli's world was brutal because it mirrored real life. He understood this. People want leaders, not servants. They want direction, not passivity. And a man who stands firm, who does not flinch under pressure, who can say no and mean it, he becomes untouchable. Not because he's aggressive, but because he has spine. The nice guy bends too easily, and in bending, he breaks. He's soft where he needs to be steel. Think about the people you respect, the ones who command a room. Are they the ones who try the hardest to be liked? Or are they the ones who walk in with presence, who don't explain themselves, who speak with finality? Machiavelli knew power is silent, focused, indifferent. It doesn't seek applause. It demands recognition through strength of presence. The moment you chase approval, you lose the high ground. And when the crowd sees you chasing, they start running away from you. To escape the nice guy curse, you must stop apologizing for who you are. Stop over-explaining. Stop asking for permission. You don't owe anyone comfort at the expense of your own self-respect. If your truth makes people uncomfortable, let them squirm. If your boundaries offend them, let them leave. This is how you draw power, by not needing anyone to validate your existence. The people who matter will adjust to your truth. The rest were never worth your time. Machiavelli advised rulers to be both feared and loved. But if they had to choose, always choose fear. Why? Because fear is reliable. People may not love you today. They may turn on you tomorrow. But fear is consistent. It keeps you respected even in disagreement. It builds a wall no one wants to climb. And that wall protects your soul, your energy, your vision. So here's the Machiavellian law for nice guys. Never crave applause. Crave discipline. Crave silence. Crave the strength to walk alone if necessary. When you stop needing others to like you, you become free. You begin to move like a shadow, untouchable, unbothered, unknown until you strike. That's the beginning of real power. And power, not pity, is the path out of the weakness that niceness breeds. You were not born to serve everyone's comfort. You were born to walk with purpose. Unshaken, let them say you've changed. Let them whisper you're arrogant. It means they can feel the shift. The boy who needed praise is gone. The man who commands respect is here. And he doesn't ask for it, he takes it. Nice guys love to explain. They feel the need to justify every decision, soften every word, and clarify every boundary. Why? Because they fear being misunderstood. They believe if they just explain themselves enough, people will approve, will understand, will accept them. But Machiavelli would laugh at such naivety. He knew the truth. Power does not explain, it acts. Authority is not granted by words. It is seized in silence. Every time you explain yourself, you give people ammunition. You show them your fears, your doubts, your need for approval. You open the door to scrutiny, to judgment, to manipulation. People don't care why you said no. They only care that you said it with certainty. When you explain, you weaken the impact. You invite debate. But when you remain silent, when you give no excuse, no apology, only a firm decision, you become untouchable. They can't argue with silence. They can't manipulate what they can't read. Machiavelli understood the art of mystery. He advised rulers to mask their intentions, to be unpredictable, to never reveal their full hand. Why? Because power thrives in uncertainty. When people can't figure you out, they respect you more. When they don't know your next move, they fear crossing you. And when they know nothing about your emotions, your inner world, your reasons, they have no leverage. Silence becomes your shield. Mystery becomes your armor. Nice guys overshare. They explain their trauma, their heartbreak, their mistakes. They believe vulnerability will earn them empathy. But in the real world, that's a lie. Vulnerability without boundaries is not bravery, it's exposure. And exposure invites predators. People may smile while you confess, but many are calculating how to use that information later. Machiavelli's world was full of snakes in robes, smiling faces with hidden daggers, and the only defense, say less, show less, be unreadable. In a world that rewards performance, silence is rebellion. It says, I don't need your validation. It says, I'm not here to please you. It says, I stand by my words without your approval. That scares people, because they can't control what they don't understand, and they hate what they can't control. A man who says little but acts decisively is dangerous. He doesn't need attention. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't broadcast his plans, his pain, or his power. He simply moves efficiently, ruthlessly, quietly. That's who Machiavelli admired. A man whose actions forced respect, not whose words begged for it. You want to stop being treated like a doormat? Then stop narrating your every step. Let them wonder why you disappeared. Let them question why you went silent. Let your unpredictability speak louder than your explanations ever could. Because the moment they think they've figured you out, you've already lost the upper hand. In war, the enemy who talks too much reveals their strategy. In life, the man who explains too much reveals his weakness. Do not be that man. Speak when necessary, but never explain yourself when you don't have to. And never justify what doesn't need justification. This is how you shift from the nice guy who's ignored to the man whose presence speaks louder than any excuse. Your silence becomes a presence, your mystery becomes respect, and your restraint becomes dominance. Nice guys are always trying to be understood, but powerful men, they don't care. They move forward while others waste breath. That's how you become untouchable. That's how you become feared. That's how you stop being nice and start being respected. The downfall of every nice guy begins with the belief that people are inherently good, that they deserve second chances, that punishment is cruel, and forgiveness is noble. But Machiavelli didn't live in a fantasy. He lived in the real world, the world of betrayal, lies, and manipulation. And in that world, mercy without control is weakness. Kindness without boundaries is suicide. The nice guy flinches at confrontation. He hesitates to set consequences. He tolerates disrespect, hoping the other person will see their mistake. But in the real world, people don't change out of guilt. They change when they suffer consequences. They learn when they lose something. Machiavelli believed that punishment, when necessary, must be swift, decisive, and unflinching, not out of anger, but out of strategy, not to hurt, but to teach. If someone crosses your line and there is no cost, they will do it again. If you let people talk to you however they want, if you let them cancel plans, insult your time, or undermine your value, and you do nothing, you are telling them you accept it. Silence is permission. Inaction is permission. And nice guys are always giving permission. To become untouchable, you must be willing to punish. Not violently, not emotionally, but with power. You walk away. You remove access. You strip benefits. You show through your actions that disrespect has a price. And here's the part that nice guys never get. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to argue. You don't have to yell. You simply act. No warning, no drama. Just cold, precise removal. A Machiavellian man understands that consequences shape behavior better than words ever could. People don't remember what you say. They remember what they lose. They remember how it felt when you cut them off, when you stopped responding, when you stopped showing up. That pain rewires behavior. That absence teaches what presence never could. Nice guys make a critical mistake. They confuse emotional restraint with weakness. They think punishing someone means they're being mean. They associate firmness with cruelty. But it's not about cruelty. It's about boundaries. It's about protecting your time, your energy, your name. You do not owe endless chances. You do not owe explanation. You owe yourself peace. And if someone threatens that peace, you act calmly, ruthlessly, unapologetically. Machiavelli warned rulers, when you strike in such a way that no one will dare cross you again. The lesson here isn't violence, it's finality. It's showing the world you are not to be trifled with, that you are kind, yes, but not soft, forgiving, yes, but not naive. You control your emotions, but you don't suppress your power. You smile when you need to, but when the moment comes to enforce your line, you do it without blinking. That's what frightens people. That's what earns respect. Not tantrums, not tears, cold power. Nice guys are always emotional. They cry during breakups. They over-explain. They punish and then feel bad about it. But a true Machiavellian man is surgical. He doesn't punish to feel better. He punishes to shift the power. And then he walks away. He lets the silence echo. He lets the consequence do the talking. And people learn, they always do. Because the one who punishes without emotion is fear. The one who stays calm while others scream is in control. And the one who can cut ties without flinching is the one they never cross again. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to lose your cool. You just need to act with precision. When someone disrespects you, betray no emotion. Let your face stay calm. Let your heart stay quiet. But let your hand be firm. Remove access. Cancel the deal. Walk out the door. That's how power is asserted. Not in words, but in decisions. There's one final truth Machiavelli would whisper to the nice guy. Stop feeling everything. In a world where everyone is ruled by their emotions, offended by every word, broken by every rejection, manipulated by every praise, the one who stays emotionally detached becomes unstoppable. Nice guys are addicts of approval. They're obsessed with being liked, needed, and validated. That obsession makes them easy prey. But emotional detachment, that's where the transformation begins. When you no longer care who claps for you, who leaves you, or who tries to guilt you, you've arrived at power. Machiavelli didn't advise cruelty for cruelty's sake. He advised clarity. Clarity means understanding that human nature is selfish, that alliances are temporary, and that loyalty often dies the moment convenience does. So why pour your heart into people who would trade you for comfort? Why invest your soul into approval that shifts with the wind? Detachment isn't coldness, it's awareness. When you're detached, you're not numb, you're focused. You see the games, but you don't play them. You hear the flattery, but you're not seduced. You notice the betrayal, but you don't react. You move in silence, calculate in stillness, and strike when necessary. Not emotionally, but strategically. Nice guys think love wins, but Machiavelli knew fear lasts longer. Detachment teaches you to value your peace more than your image. You stop explaining yourself. You stop chasing closure. You let people misunderstand you and keep moving forward. Because the untouchable man doesn't beg for clarity, he creates it. He doesn't seek love, he commands respect. He doesn't drown in betrayal, he swims in truth. And the truth is this: people fear what they can't control. When you're detached, you can't be controlled. When you don't need their affection, their opinions, or their loyalty, you're free. Don't let your emotions betray you. Don't let your desire to be liked destroy your identity. Be kind but never dependent. Be generous but never desperate. Walk into every room with the mindset, I need nothing from anyone here. That's power, that's the end game. That's what Machiavelli would teach the nice guy. To stop being so emotionally available to a world that will eat you alive if you let it. When you're detached, you finally learn to play the game from above, not inside it. You become the player, not the pawn. And if you found truth in these words, if you're ready to rise from nice to dangerous, from naive to strategic, then this is just the beginning. Like this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the world doesn't need more nice guys. It needs more men who see the truth, move with power, and never apologize for their strength. Stay ruthless, stay untouchable, and always remember, silence is power, detachment is freedom, and control is everything.
Ano sila